Staff. Good evening, I'm Sean Atkins, and I'm the Chair of the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission, and at this time, I'd like to call our regularly scheduled December meeting to order. Staff, would you please call roll call to establish a quorum?
Commissioner Lovett, Commissioner Bell.
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Fan, Commissioner Atkins,
Present.
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Commissioner McKnight, Commissioner Maxwell, Commissioner Mitchell. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, would you please take a moment of silence? Thank you. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt our agenda as presented this evening. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we adopt our December 20, 2018 meeting agenda. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our agenda is adopted. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to approve our November 15, 2018 meeting minutes. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we approve our November 15, 2018 meeting minutes. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our November 15, 2018 meeting minutes are approved. We will now go into old business. For everyone here this evening, I will share with you that our first case on the agenda is an old business case. We had the public hearing for this case on our last month at our regularly scheduled November meeting. It is case number 2018, U as in umbrella, -002-10. The applicant is one of our commissioners, and at this time, I would like to have that commissioner recuse himself.
I recuse myself.
Yes, you're allowed to now join the audience for this case, Mr. Miller. Thank you. Staff, would you please sound agenda item 2018, U as in umbrella, -002-10.
Case number 2018-U-002-10. The applicant, Will Miller. The location is 995 Winburn Drive. He's seeking a special use permit for a habitable accessory structure in the R1A zoning district.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned before, the public hearing for this case took place at our November 15, 2018 meeting. But commissioners, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns that you'd like to ask the applicant, now would be the time. And I'm going to emphasize the point that this is not a public hearing, but an opportunity for commissioners to ask questions of the applicant.
Well, I was either curious from the applicant or the staff about the change of size. I think I'm seeing a different number in this.
Yes, Commissioner. The applicant submitted an amended site plan that actually reduced the size of the footprint from the original. The total square footage of the primary structure is 2,494 square feet in area approximately. So he has reduced the square footage of the proposed inhabitable structure to approximately 623.5 square feet, which would give him a total area of 1,247. And that would be in compliance with the 50% standard for the total area.
Thank you. Are there any? I'm sorry, Commissioner Tucker.
I'm so sorry. And you had some conditions with that approval. Would you mind describing those conditions?
Yes, sir. The conditions are as follows. Number one, the structure must meet minimum requirements of a habitable accessory structure per 2012 IRC with current state amendments. Number two, ensure side yard setback not less than 7 feet. Less than 7 feet will initiate automatic residential sprinklers as required by City Ordinance 6-2046. Third condition, permanent emergency Permanent emergency escape ladders shall be installed in every sleeping room, second story, and above per City Ordinance 6-2045.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns, either of the applicant or of staff? Hearing none, staff, at this time, I will ask you for your recommendation.
Staff has recommended approval of the special use permit for a habitable accessory structure in the R-1A Urban Residential Zoning District with the conditions as read previously.
Commissioners, you've heard staff's recommendation. Staff's recommendation is approval with 3 conditions as read previously by Ms. Smith. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Tucker?
I'd like to make a motion for approval with staff recommendations.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, second by Commissioner Knight, that this body approves case number 2018 U as in umbrella -002-10. It's a recommendation for approval with the conditions as read by staff. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body will recommend approval. Mr. Miller, you may rejoin us here. Our next agenda item is under new business. We have 2 cases under new business this evening. They both require public hearing, and at this time, I'll read our rules for public hearing that will apply to both cases. Public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be conducted in accordance to Section 10-2219 of the East Point Zoning Code and Development Regulations as follows. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the Commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant's designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by other speakers in favor of the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the Commission may increase the total time for speakers provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there is more than one speaker for a side, the chair or the presiding officer may limit the time allotted to each individual speaker other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall identify him or herself and state his or her current address. Each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning decision under consideration, shall address remarks only to the Commission, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse a speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum. You've heard our rules for public hearings. Staff, at this time, I'll ask you to sound case number 2018 V as in Victor -019-11.
Case number 2018 V-019-11. The location is 0 Headland Drive, Sumner Park. They're seeking a variance to encroach into the 50-foot undisturbed vegetative buffers in accordance with sections 10-12021.1 and 10-12021.2.
Thank you. The applicant for this zoning case here is the City of East Point. So at this time, would the city please present its case?
The case will be presented by Jonathan Penn, the Director of Parks and Rec.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Jonathan Penn, Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of East Point. We're asking for this variance for the model mile of our path project. It's a 20-plus mile master plan that we created a little over a year ago that we got approved, and this will be the model mile of that project, which I'm super excited about. And it's going to start right there at Headland and Kimmeridge. Is that Kimmeridge? That's right, yeah, Headland and Kimmeridge, and then come down Headland and turns into Normanberry up towards Tri-Cities High School. So we're asking for this variance because it's going to go down into right next to the stream. It's not into the state stream buffer, but it is the city's. So we're looking for a variance to help us out to get through that section.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents? Would you please step to the podium, state your first and last name, and your current address?
Good evening. My name is Pete Pellegrini. I'm with the Path Foundation.
Can you say your name just a little slower?
It is Pete Pellegrini.
Pellegrini. Thank you, Mr. Pellegrini.
Yes, Commissioner, and I'm with the Path Foundation. The office address is 1601 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309. The reason I am here tonight is PATH is a partner with the City of East Point on this particular project. PATH is coming to the table. If you're not familiar with PATH, we're a nonprofit organization that partners with municipalities and other corporations and entities to help build trails throughout the state of Georgia. We've been around since 1992, and we're approaching 300 miles of trail since we've been in existence. We're very excited and appreciate the opportunity to partner with the City of East Point on this project. Our experience in a lot of the network, and especially in these type of environments, is actually to enhance and improve the situation, not be a detriment to the area of concern. There's been concerns about how we would treat this area. In the current area, the existing conditions are such that there's erosion issues, there's invasive plant issues, and it's actually a green space that the City of East Point is not able to take advantage of. We are hoping that the trail will allow the general public to not only take advantage of this space, but also create a linear park that the city can take advantage of, which is tied into the trail network and master plan that you all spent money on developing. This first phase is very critical, as it is going to set the tone and be your project model for the area. And I think that a lot of what our applications are doing are going to be comparable to what the City of Atlanta has worked with our organization on. And we actually have language that we would be happy to introduce to the Commission for its consideration for future projects that might address this particular scenario. There is, obviously with any type of project like this, we are going to have to take out a few trees. Most of the trees that we're having to take out are pines, which are not necessarily native to the area. But we're promoting more tree replacement as we take out. So a lot of what we're proposing is actually improving, stabilizing, and actually trying to help water infiltration in the area so that it's actually a positive project, not a negative project to the area. I'm happy to address any questions that the Commission has regarding this area of concern.
Thank you, Mr. Pellegrini. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning case? Any opponents? Seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, who we've been joined by, that we close the public hearing. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation? Let's not all speak at once.
Thank you. Staff recommended approval to encroach into the 50-foot undisturbed natural vegetative buffer as required within sections 10-12021, Section 1, and 10-12021-2, Section 2, with the following condition. Number 1, any encroachment within the 25-foot buffer requires a EPD approval.
Thank you, Commissioners. You've heard from the applicant, which is the City of East Point. You've also heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to recommend approval.
Okay. It's
With,
a variance. It's a variance, so we'll
variance,
have
I'm
to make a recommendation.
I would make a motion to approve the variance with the staff conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that this body approves case number 2018 V as in Victor -019-11. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Question?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question in regards to the status of this variance. The application provides that the applicant is seeking not only a variance to encroach into the 50-foot undisturbed natural vegetative buffer, but also into the additional 25-foot setback. And I think we need some clarification on whether, in fact, that second variance is needed. The staff is recommending that the applicant be granted a variance from both sections of the code, and yet it appears that perhaps they only need to encroach into the 50-foot undisturbed buffer. Do you mind approaching the microphone just for the
Yes.
record so that we have this? So if I'm understanding this correctly, the city is not asking to encroach into the additional 25-foot setback. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so with respect to the staff recommendation, it would appear that there does not need to be a variance to 12021 subsection 2. So you're saying you need both variances?
What I'm saying is, I don't think this is not the state buffer. This is our.
No, this is the city buffer. That's all we're talking about. Mr. Chair, can you give us a moment on this?
Yes. And while we do that, we will have a question from Commissioner Lovett. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This may sound like an unusual question, but is there a cemetery near the area where you are asking to put
Encroach
the
upon?
walkway, the trail?
No, I don't, no.
Yes, please speak into the
No,
microphone.
ma'am, there is no cemetery. Not to my knowledge. I haven't seen a cemetery, haven't seen any plans. I drive by and I want to see a cemetery as well.
Because I know there is one on Delow. So you're not, and it's a family cemetery.
I think that may be further down. We're stopping right before you get to the Wayfield
Okay.
at the corner. I think you're talking further down,
Okay.
where that gas station is, on the corner of Delow, on the other side, maybe. I think it's down that way,
I
but
kn-
no.
There is a park that is near the cemetery. There's a very small little area there. It's not very big, and I think there are some trees that were recently planted, maybe? No?
No, ma'am.
So you're not near?
No,
nowhere
ma'am.
Near that? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McKnight, do you have a question?
Hi, yes, I did have a question. I wanted to know, with the trail that is going, the purpose of the trail also, I guess more on the East Point path, in terms of the development and, I don't know, the water that's currently there. You mentioned something about erosion, so would this solve that problem? I just wanted to be clear on if it's solving the problem in that area right now.
The erosion that I was referring to is an existing condition that is coming from a drainage pipe that is on the hillside. We are having to address that scenario so that it doesn't compound the area. And also, we'll be addressing some of the invasive plants that are growing in there as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I do have
Yes.
an additional question. I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Lovett, yes.
Thank you. Is this trail connecting to the part of the trail that was dedicated about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago?
Which trail was dedicated?
This is the one, and I don't know, it's at Sumner Park, or near that area. There is the one that former Mayor Peters.
Yeah, this is the same thing. This is the same thing,
Okay.
yes,
All
okay.
right. Thank you. So this is a continuation of that?
Well, that was a ceremonial for this model mile before she left office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Staff, are you ready to clarify?
After heated discussion, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
It appears from the site plan on the overhead, in spite of what the city representative is telling us, that there may be a slight encroachment into the additional 25-foot setback depicted on this plan. So in the utmost of caution, I would recommend that the staff recommendation be modified to read as follows. Staff recommends approval to encroach into the 50-foot undisturbed natural vegetative buffer and into the additional 25-foot setback as required within Sections 10-12021 Sub 1 and 120221 Sub 2 with the following condition. I would hate it to be the situation where the applicant really is encroaching slightly into that additional 25-foot setback, and we don't grant that, and he has to come back because we've made an error in reviewing the plan. But it does appear as if you might be encroaching slightly into that additional 25-foot setback. So in the utmost of caution, per the plan, I think we should change that wording.
Okay. The motion was made by Commissioner Tucker, and it was seconded by Commissioner McKnight. Is that right? Or Miller? Okay. And so we could accept perhaps a
I would
friendly
accept
amendment.
that.
Commissioner Tucker, do you accept a friendly amendment, staff's recommendation for approval as stated by the zoning attorney, Ms. Dunleavy, in addition to the conditions as stated by Ms. Dunleavy as well?
I would.
And Mr. Miller, does your second still
Second
stand?
that as well.
Could you turn your microphone on, please?
And I would second that as well.
Okay. Then the motion on the floor is to approve variance 2018 V as in Victor -019-11. The motion is to approve the zoning case with the recommendation as presented by zoning attorney Linda Dunleavy and the conditions thereto. The motion has been made by Commissioner Tucker and seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The variance request is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is 2018 M as in Mary -004-11. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Case number 2018 M-004-11. It's a text amendment, citywide text amendment to amend Part 10, Chapter 7, Section 10-7002, definitions by adding definitions for historic, illegal, and non-conforming signs with a supplementary amendment to Part 10, Chapter 7, Section 10-7014, general sign regulations by adding language for historic signs.
Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open a public hearing for case number 2018 M as in Mary -004-11.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, second by Commissioner Lovett, that we open a public hearing for the zoning case. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Do we have a representative from the city who will speak to this zoning case?
Yes, we do. The purpose of this text amendment is simply to encourage preservation of historic areas and properties within the city as they may be impacted by signage and renovation and redevelopment in those areas.
Okay. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning case? Any opponents? Seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, to close the public hearing. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Case number, in case,
Go ahead. Staff has recommended approval of case number 2018 M-004-11 to amend citywide Part 10, Chapter 7, Section 10-7002, definitions by adding definitions for historic, illegal, and nonconforming signs with a supplementary amendment to Part 10, Chapter 7, Section 10-7014, General Sign Regulations by adding language for historic signs.
Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, we've heard from the applicant, which is the City of East Point. We've heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for a recommendation for approval of case number 2018M00411.
Commissioner Might has made a motion to recommend approval of case number 2018 M as in Mary -004-11. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight and seconded by Commissioner Tucker that we recommend approval. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I just want to thank Planning and Zoning and the various departments that worked on this amendment. It's very proactive, and I very much appreciate it. I think it's good for the city. That's what I want to say.
And I second that.
Okay. So I have a request of staff. For the viewing public, we just generally talked about what this amendment, this text amendment does, but we did not recite the language. And so I would like for, as a part of the record, for the staff to say what was there and what we are proposing to correct or fix that. I think that that would be very helpful for the audience.
Okay, since everyone's jumping to give the explanation needed.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
A situation came to our attention that the sign ordinance of the City of East Point does not address historic signs that may be associated with historic properties. So when historic properties perhaps are designated by the state for recognition of their, I hate to use this word, historicity, what happens to the sign? And so we proposed this amendment in order to provide a definition for what is a historic sign, because there was no definition within our ordinance. When we came up with that definition, we also realized that there were certain other conditions missing in our sign ordinance. One is we did not have a definition for what is an illegal sign. It may seem obvious to some people, but we felt that a definition was required. Similarly, with a non-conforming sign, we provided a definition for a non-conforming sign. And we wanted to make it clear that no non-conforming sign or historical sign could be enlarged beyond the historical parameters of that sign. So when a property is designated as a historic property and there is a historic sign on the site, we wanted to encourage people to retain that historic sign as it had been for many years before, same dimensions, same face, that kind of thing. And so we made that provision in the sign ordinance. We also wanted to make it clear that a historic sign, unlike non-historic signs, would not be considered abandoned after a certain period of non-use, to encourage the renovation and keeping intact of historic properties with their historic signage. Does that address your question, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely. And so whenever we're having text amendments, I would just like for staff to give an overview so that the viewing public will know what the issues were and how we're attempting to address those issues. So thank you guys very much for that. So there is a motion on the floor to recommend approval of case number 2018 M as in Mary -004-11. Motion made by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner McKnight. Any other comments, questions, or it was the reverse? It was the reverse, okay? The motion to recommend approval of this agenda item was made by Commissioner McKnight and seconded by Commissioner Tucker. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body makes a recommendation to approve. Thank you. Our next agenda item is announcements. Staff, do you have any announcements for the viewing public? Okay. The only announcement that I have on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of East Point, we would like to wish all of our citizens here a very wonderful and very safe holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you all same bat time, same bat place in January. Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that this meeting is adjourned. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.